little thing, even things you know that you're not doing, even if it includes some stuff that you actually have done. But if a guy just blames you for every little thing or turns things around on you constantly whenever you hold him accountable, it says a lot more about what he's actually doing than it does about what you're doing. I can respect that you want to audit and you want to make sure that, hey, am I the problem here? I totally respect that you want to take responsibility, you want to take accountability, and you want to address any issue that you may be bringing into the relationship. We're in a day and age where women are more self-aware than they've ever been before. I mean, the stereotype is that y'all can't take accountability, but let's not even talk about how that's really just projection from the side of who can't take accountability. But anyway, I got this question from a Self-Crown VIP member. For those who don't know, that's my app where I go live and answer questions and stuff like that. And this young lady was like, hey, D, how do I know if I'm the problem or not? I'm paraphrasing here. But essentially, she has a guy that she's been dealing with for about 6 months, and he constantly blames and criticizes her. And she's thinking, well, could it be that his standards are just so high and I'm just not meeting them? He's used to so much better. And this is where you got to catch yourself. It's not that, a guy can't come in with high standards. It's not that you're perfect as a woman, because of course you're not. But when you see a pattern of a man blaming you, criticizing you, there's one of three things likely going on. The first one is that he's projecting onto you what he's actually doing. Or he's projecting on you, period. Because sometimes what a guy will do is he will project onto you what he's doing. And it's a way to kind of prepare you to forgive him whenever he gets caught. So he'll project it onto you. You must have been out here sleeping with this guy, doing that and the other. And that way, whenever he finally gets caught or he confesses, which could happen, even from a guy who's dishonest, and I'll tell you why in just a second, but by the time y'all get there, he's blamed you so much, he's able to make the case that his alibi was, well, it seemed like you was on some BS. So then he got on some BS. So when a guy's projecting onto you, like you're getting blamed for stuff, it's no possible way he could actually think you're out doing X, Y, and Z. No way. It wasn't even like you was talking to a guy too long, getting phone calls late at night, or, doing some sketchy behavior. Nothing like that. You weren't where you were supposed to be. There's no real reason why this guy should be making the conclusions that he's making about you. And he's persistent in it. It's not a one-time thing. He's likely letting you know what it is that he's up to. But let me say this. Sometimes he's not projecting on you exactly what he's doing. Sometimes he'll project on you the nature of what he should be receiving from you in terms of blame and criticism and being held accountable. And what he'll do is he'll leverage what you're actually doing that's not nearly on the level of what he's doing. Let me give you an example, because I know I'm probably going to lose somebody on this one. So let's say you say, hey, babe, I got to go to work today. I'll be home at 6 o'clock. But you get home at 6:15 and you don't text, you don't call. All right. What a guy will do is, especially if he's doing a lot of wrong behind the scenes, he'll make a big fuss about that. Oh, you got home 15 minutes late. You couldn't tell me? What if I have something planned? What was you really doing? Where were you really at? And so this is where a guy would try to come off credible by leveraging something that you actually did wrong. Like, no, I'm not here telling you that's okay to do. If you get home late, you should have communicated. You got to be accountable to that. And you should apologize for being late. But if you notice that he's making a big fuss about something like that and it's not in proportion to what actually happened, like a 15-minute being late and he's, off the deep end, more than likely, he's doing something behind your back. And if he can kind of prepare the soil, so to speak, and plant these seeds of, this is why I was so upset and I eventually did what I did, that's how the projection can come across as well. Again, when he gets caught or when he confesses. And what I was saying earlier, sometimes a man will confess and it's not because he wants to do the right thing. It's not because, he wants to stop and start a new chapter and he got to do that on honesty instead of dishonesty. No, sometimes a guy will do that selfishly just to relieve his own conscience. Which brings me into the second point, because a lot of y'all think that a man ain't got a conscience if he's doing wrong, and that's not the truth. Even if he stays doing you wrong for a very long time, a man has a conscience, but it's about what he does to his conscience so it doesn't eat at him. So when a man projects onto you or blames you for every little thing, he may be doing that because he's trying to trick his conscience into believing that you're really a bad person. You're a bad person, so therefore you deserve whatever treatment he's giving you. He's just evening the playing field. He's just evening the score. So you have a guy that blame, criticizes, and it's his way because his conscience eats him up. He was raised better than that. His mama taught him better than that. He knows better than that. But if he continues to see you for who you are, the good woman that you are, your sacrifices, the way that you show up, your heart, all of these different things, your accountability, if he sees you for that, then he's got to look at himself for who he truly is. So if a guy has this habit of just blaming you for stuff, criticizing you for stuff constantly, what he's trying to do is keep his mind from conceptualizing you according to your truth, that you're the type of woman who does not deserve that. You deserve better than him. That's a painful reality for a man. And it's like, well, why wouldn't he just stop doing wrong? If he's so deeply embedded into his ways, if he's so in love with his lust or whatever he may be doing wrong, it may not necessarily be cheating, just whatever. He could just be manipulative. He could just be whatever. Because he's critical, because he's mean, neglectful. A lot of times a man's conscience will eat at him. And then we give you a little bit more proof that a man's conscience eats at him. Because when a man loses a good woman, what do y'all notice happens? He always comes back. If you meet a man 10, 20 years down the road, there ain't no chance to come back, you talk to that man that lost a good woman, they always gonna be able to be real about it. Yeah, man, I messed that up. I effed that up bad. You always hear men talk. That conscience was there during the relationship. But what a man will do so that he can continue doing you wrong, he will trick his conscience. And he'll try to force feed it this image of you that's so horrible, so that way he can sleep at night. And a lot of times it still don't work, by the way. That's why he got the coping mechanisms, he get addictions all over the place. Oh yeah, them demons, they'll eat at him. And let me just kind of side note this one as well. Because, and maybe this is a whole nother point, but a guy will blame you because he's cultivated a distrust by being untrustworthy. He's cultivated a distrust by being untrustworthy. This is the funny thing about not living in your truth. This is the crazy thing about that. When you don't live in your truth, you have a hard time believing anybody else is either. So a man will blame you for all of these horrible things because he's doing wrong. He knows that he's doing wrong. So if he's tricking you and you have zero idea what he's doing, maybe you're doing the same thing. It's a crazy thing about traumatizing somebody else in that it actually traumatizes you. That's why when you have people that have done wrong in all their relationships, they really struggle in a healthy relationship because they remember when they were doing wrong. Even if they start off not doing wrong, they'll have a hard time believing that you coming in with a love that's pure and that's genuine because they've never been genuine. And what can happen is because they've cultivated such a distrust within themselves for you, not based on your actions, but based on their own, they almost self-fulfill the prophecy. They almost will try to push you into doing them wrong. They'll be so critical on you, at some point you're gonna be ready to give up and actually leave or do something wrong. Not saying that you're ever absolved if you do something wrong, by the way. But the point is, a person who's not trustworthy can't trust somebody else. And maybe they brought that into the relationship. Maybe they brought that from their childhood, which brings me to the last point. I said 3, I don't get y'all like 4 or 5, whatever. But the last reason why a guy will blame you for every little thing is because that's the emotional and mental internal state that he's in. He blames himself. He shames himself. He's only pouring from the cup that he already has and that he had before he ever met you. And if you were never born. He blames you, which is a form of shame, by the way. It's a form of shame because you're really seeing just a little fraction of what he gives himself. That was cultivated in childhood by an overly critical parent. It ain't something that he learned in a relationship. It ain't something that he likely even developed in his last relationship. But as a child, this is what happens. It's like you gotta do more than just assess whether or not this guy is good. Because this type of guy may not be doing you bad. He may not be betraying you. He may not be living a double life. He may not be not living in his truth. But he'll still be very critical and blaming of you and shaming of you if he never healed those wounds of rejection from his parents in the form of them criticizing him. So if when he was a child, his daddy or his mama, picked on him for every little thing and just, made him seem like he was so unworthy of love, as children especially, we're really susceptible to this. So that outside voice can easily become our inside voice. He grows up with that, and now that's the lens that he sees the world. He shames himself so much for every little thing that he does wrong and feels like he's no good or whatever if he doesn't highly achieve or he's not perfect or appear perfect to people. And then he projects that onto you because that's truly that's his language that he speaks to himself. So he may not actually even be doing you wrong, but he is wrong for you in that state. And this is why I never emphasize such a good man. Look, y'all, a good man is the bare minimum. A good man is the starting point. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but a good man is the starting point. But what state is he in? You may have ground beef that's good. It's not expired, it's good. But if it's frozen, it's not in the right state to be consumed or cooked. So just because something is good doesn't mean it's right. Put I down in the chat if I'm making sense. If you got a man who is good in his intentions, good in his personality, good in his looks, good in all these different areas, you also have to assess, is this man in the mental and emotional state to protect my heart? Because if he's not, and he's pursuing a relationship, he's not evolved. He's not evolved. And this is something I talked about in the masterclass that I did, the free one. The one that's pinned right here down in the comments, Secrets to Making Evolvement Crave You. You have to assess this aspect of a man. What season is he in? What mental and emotional state is he in? He's good, but has he healed? Is he at least aware of what he needs to heal and what kind of boundaries he needs to come into the relationship honoring in order to protect me from those ways that he still needs to heal? If not, he's not evolved. And if he's not an evolved man, he cannot love you properly. And I'm not going to go too far in depth with that because there are multiple ways to assess whether or not a man is evolved enough to love you properly. I went in on that on my free masterclass, The Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You. If you want more access to that, click the link that you see pinned right here. I'll leave it up for a little bit longer for those who have not gotten access to this class. Click that link, register. Again, it's free, and get access before it comes down. Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You, so you can know how to identify an evolved man and how to position yourself to be found by evolved men who are chasing after your type of woman. You don't have to change who you are. But back to what I was saying. When a man criticizes you for every little thing, blames you for every little thing, and I'm talking about this is a habit. You're not doing nothing wrong. You know in your heart of hearts you're not doing nothing wrong. Stop explaining yourself. Stop defending yourself. Start holding the mirror to him and ask him, what is it really that you're doing? Or what work have you really not done on yourself that has you blaming me for every little thing? If he can't answer that honestly, it's in your best interest to remove yourself from that toxic situation before it damages you and you become just like him. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet brother trying to look out. If you got something valuable from this, share it for somebody else on your timeline. One of your friends, family members, you don't know who needs to hear this message. Bless them the same way that you got blessed. And if you're in the market for an evolved man, click the link, jump on over to this masterclass before it comes down to get access to it. Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You is right here, this comment, or you can hit the one that's in the caption, description, whatever, whenever you back out if you're not seeing this comment pinned right here by my page. Get access now before it comes down. I'll holler at y'all later. Y'all be good.